What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Rats Report. It's time to talk about NBA mock drafts. I got a special guest with me today. You guys are familiar with him, but introduce yourself, JJ.
Yeah, well, I'm JJ Buckets, as you briefly touched upon. Not a first-time flyer, and always happy to be here.
Awesome, perfect. So we're gonna start this NBA mock draft, and JJ, you're gonna take it away here. And you got the first overall pick. Who are you gonna draft?
This one's tricky to me because, personally speaking, if we were talking obviously like trade scenarios, I think the Hawks trade out of this spot. But as it currently stands, if you're the Hawks and you're sitting there, I think you probably go Alex Sarr with the number one pick. Like, Sarr is a bit of a project, and the Hawks or any team that draft him will likely need to be a little patient with him. But the talent is there, the natural gifts are there. Is he the best player in this draft? It's tough to say. There's no consensus on who the best player is, but I think if the Hawks end up staying at one, that's probably their guy.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things that you can't really go wrong with. Alex Sarr. There would be a little bit more controversy if you took Zachary Shea, but with the Washington's pick, this is pretty straightforward. Although there were some rumors that they really liked Donovan Clingan as well. I think this is a no-brainer. Zachary Shea is someone you absolutely have to draft. I mean, they need all the talent in the world, and Washington's management has already come out and said that they're not going to waste too much time on, or they have the time. They're not in a rush to win now. They can afford to wait 2, 3 years to really start developing some of these players. So I think Zachary is definitely the player you want. And you know what? Look, like I said, I don't think for a team like the Washington Wizards, who started rebuilding last year, you can't really be picky. You have to get the best player, and I think that's Zachary Shea.
Yeah, I think Risa Shea definitely has a chance to be special. I think in particular, if he really develops his self-creation abilities, is something I really talk about with him. He's got a good ceiling in the NBA, but I think that's going to be probably the biggest swing factor on him as a pro. All right.
Absolutely. Your Houston pick. This one's a little bit trickier, and I do not envy that you get this pick because I don't know. Go ahead. I want to see who you take with this one.
All right. So I have a thought process here. I don't know if I love it, but I do think the fit makes sense. I agree. Houston's tricky. I'm gonna go with Reed Shepherd in this spot. Personally speaking, I'm not the biggest fan of Reed Shepherd, but I think fit wise with Houston, he makes a lot of sense. I think this is a guy that would really benefit from playing alongside Alperen Şengün. I think Şengün could do a fantastic job really kind of creating the plays and letting Shepherd get open for easy knockdown threes. I think that'll make his transition to the NBA a lot easier for a guy like Shepherd, who's quite frankly just not really a great athlete. And there's going to be some question marks about how effectively he can do what he's done in college at the NBA level. I think Houston is probably the best fit for him overall.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. I personally think Reed Shepherd is going to be a really, really good role player. And I think it's one of those players that there's a lot of questions with Alexander Sarr. Not comparing him to those players, but there's a lot of questions around even Zachary, Reese Shea, and some of the other players projected to go in the top 10. I think Reed Shepherd is the sure of thing you can get. So I think that's a great pick for Houston. Personally, I'd probably choose Reed Shepherd as well. But let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs. This isn't very easy either because they said they want a point guard. There's questions as to who you would take. I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here. I'm gonna go with Matas Buzelis, and my logic behind this, behind not drafting a point guard right away, is simple. I think the Spurs do have the eighth pick overall, and they'll still be able to acquire a really good point guard with the eighth pick as well. So I think my logic behind choosing Matas Buzelis is just for that reason, and when you look at the way the league has trended in the past years, it's harder to find, small forwards with the skill sets that he has. He's a talented player. Again, the Spurs want to win. They want to surround Wemby with talent, and I think Matis is a good selection there for them.
So, I'm high on Buzelos. Like, I really like him as a prospect, and I think he's got a bit of a better ceiling than people are giving him credit for. But I think if you're the Spurs, there's no way you don't go point guard in that spot. My personal opinion. So I'll move on to the Pistons here, and this one's a little bit trickier. I look at some of the guys available, and quite honestly, man, I don't think if you're the Pistons, I think I like Dalton Connect here better than anybody else. Like Connect, I think is I like Dalton Connect a lot. Like, yes, there's going to be questions around the fact that he's obviously an older prospect and his draft age is the big, I guess, like red flag for him. But when it came to his last season in Tennessee, the displays of just three level scoring that Connect showcase are tremendous. I think he's a lot better of a slasher too than a lot of people are really giving him credit for it. I think he should be able to carry that over to the NBA at a decent level. I think Connect quietly is both one of the safest players. I would argue he is the safest player in the draft, but I would also argue he's got one of the better ceilings of the guys available.
Yeah, I think if I had that pick, I'd probably choose Dalton Connecty too. I mean, again, like the players available, they're kind of set at the center position. Stefan Castle said he's not playing for a team that's already got a point guard. Rob Dillingham, Nikola Topic. Again, I don't know. Maybe you could argue, maybe again, Ron Holland, but I think just the way his stock has been dropping, I think that might have been a little bit too high for him. So if I've got the next pick here with the Charlotte Hornets, this one's tricky, man. This one is trickier than most people realize. I'm tempted. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to draft Donovan Clingan here. My logic behind it, I know they have Mark Williams. They also have Nick Richards, who's a little bit, he's a little bit older. He's a great backup center. But I think with Donovan Clingan, they really, really get a future center here who's going to be really anchoring the defense. And even if, look, they keep even if they keep Mark as well, now you got a nice backup center there. Obviously with centers, it does take him a while to develop. So you probably don't want to just throw him into the starting lineup or play him heavy minutes as it is in the, especially in his rookie season. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to get in foul trouble, but he's an excellent choice. So he's, again, I feel like I'm saying this for a lot of players. Reed Shepherd, you argue Dalton. I actually think, you know what, he's going to be a really good pick for a team like the Pistons because it's one of those things where you know what he's going to be at the NBA level, right? Clingan is going to be a great center, so I think that's my personal logic behind it. You also need some defense. I think with Brandon Miller and LaMelo, you're set there in terms of at least a little bit more offensively gifted players. You got two gifted players, and you need a little bit more defense here. So the next on the board here is Portland Trailblazers. Who do you have there?
I think for the Portland Trailblazers, this is probably one of the easier selections, and I know there's been talks about the potential slide or whatnot. I'm not going to buy it here. I'm going to go Ron Holland, and I'm not even going to think twice. Portland needs help on the wings. Holland is one of the best defenders in the draft. I would make the argument. At the very least, he plays with an incredible motor on that side of the basketball, so he's going to be one of the hardest working defenders. They need the wing defense. They can afford to take the time to really develop his offensive game. I think he's a tremendous open court player. I think he's a great finisher. He's lacking a jump shot. That's really it. And I think Holland has the star potential, but it'll definitely take time and the right team to work on him with it. I think he's got a good chance to fill it out in Portland.
Yeah, I can't argue about that. I mean, again, the last thing the Portland Trail Blazers need right now is another point guard. I feel like they kind of really set at the guard position. They do obviously have to trade a few guys there too, like Malcolm Brogdon. But hey, that's a great pick for a team that needs, help at the small forward position. So Ron Holland is going to be excellent for them. Now, my turn again with the San Antonio Spurs. What would you do if I told you I wouldn't draft a point guard here? I
I
won't.
I was gonna say I might close the laptop on the spot. This has got to be point guard at this point.
This one, you know what? It's a little bit easier to say this now. I think Stefan Castle, they were really reportedly high on him, and there's no way that a team like the Spurs pass on him, especially with the eighth overall pick. He's going to be excellent for them. He's going to be excellent for a team like the San Antonio Spurs. And I mean, you got Wembanyama there, of course, a great defensive player. Now you got Stefan Castle. Like, imagine that defense is going to be absolutely amazing for the Spurs. Again, not much of an argument. I think most likely, hopefully, you agree with me here. I don't know if you would have taken Stefan there, but
I mean, I personally think you went with the right spot. As far as the point guards, this is something I've talked about a lot recently, just kind of privately. But despite the conception of the perception, not the conception, the perception around this being a weak draft class, I think guard is definitely the strongest position, especially near the top. So there's definitely a lot of good options there. I don't know if I would have gone Castle. I might have gone with somebody else, but I think you
no,
went
no,
with
you
the
can't,
right
you
position
can't,
there.
you can't say that and not tell me who you would have taken. I want to hear who you're going to take if you had the Spurs pick at the eighth spot.
Man, honestly, as far as a fit beside Wembanyama, I might have gone Dillingham personally, but That's just me.
No, that's you know what? I'm not going to argue. I think they do need a good 3-point shooter, and Stephon isn't that, although he's a great defender. So I don't know. I can't argue against that. Now we get the ninth pick, the Memphis Grizzlies. This one is a little bit, I'm not going to say challenging, but it's very interesting because look at their starting five. For the most part, it's filled up really well. They obviously need a starting center. Jaren Jackson's more of a power forward, in my opinion, but let's see who you got. Who are you going to take here?
Yeah, I completely agree with you that I think the center position would be the biggest need. And quite frankly, I personally think the Grizzlies are going to trade out of here. Like, I don't expect them to be making this selection on draft night.
Mhm.
Like, given the players who are currently on the board,
Do you want me to bring up the center positions? We can draft
yeah.
Zach Edey here.
No, I got a team in mind for Edie, but I'm not sure if I actually have them in this process. But yeah, you know what? Show me the centers that are on the board here. If not, I think I have an idea of where I
So
go
we
with
got
this.
the way it's listed here. They got Zach Edey, Yves Missy, Kalel Ware, Adam
Hmm.
Bana. Yeah,
All
it's
right. I take that one back. There's no way we're going with any of those centers. Honestly, if you're the Grizzlies in this position, I think you just again, I don't think they make this pick. I think they likely trade out of it. But in this situation, I think you just got to go best player available. And quite frankly, I think the best player available is Nikola Topic at this point. Topic has naturally had some issues when it comes to the injuries. He just had the partially torn ACL, which is going to turn some teams off him. His measurements also came out a little unfavorable to him. He was originally listed with a 7 foot wingspan, and that's very much so not the case. I think he measured in about like a I think it was 6'5" and like 7'5", something along those lines. I personally like Topic. I think he's a jump shot away from being the best player in this draft class. Whether or not he can develop that jumper with the Grizzlies, it's a whole different story.
hey, that's a hot pick, man. You're definitely gonna have a lot of Grizzlies fans tell you otherwise. But I don't know, man. I think with those injuries, I honestly felt like he's gonna drop out of the lottery. I don't know how you feel, but personally, that was my how I feel about, especially with his injuries now. He's a
I
very
would
talented player.
I would be
Very
surprised if he drops out of the lottery, but I definitely could see him sliding a little bit. I think initially, like Topic, I would have said Topic goes as high as like 4, to the Spurs. But, with the injuries, with the measurements, with all that stuff, with the obvious concerns about his shooting, I think he is a player that's likely gonna slide a little bit on draft night.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, it's kind of hard because I mean, like Jared McCain might seem like it's a little bit too early, and not that I wouldn't, not that Grizzlies wouldn't want to draft him, but seems a little bit high for, Grizzlies drafting him. All right, so I'm on the board here with the 10th pick. I believe it's the 10th. Yeah, Utah Jazz here. This is tricky because we know they like tall, lengthy players. Now, I'm torn on this one because I'm torn between two players, but you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Trajan Salon here for the Utah Jazz. I believe Danny Ainge was trying to. Yes, that was Danny Ainge that said he really likes tall, switchable players. He tried to trade for OG Anunoby. When the Raptors inquired about Rudy Gobert, and obviously the Raptors said no. But I think Trajan Salon needs, obviously some sort of development. He's got a lot of upside, as a lot of people have stated. And you know what? The Jazz definitely will take him. I was tempted to take Cody Williams there, but again, just knowing Danny Ainge, I feel like he's gonna take Tijon if he's still on the board.
Yeah, so hold on, sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought. I was gonna ask you, so you don't think Lauri Markkanen sticks around at the Jazz this offseason then?
I actually don't. You know what? Laurie Markin is an excellent player, but he's not a number one option. And the Jazz are in a weird position where I feel like they can trade him and acquire some picks and really just start to rebuild because they're a weird team right now where Laurie's how old is he? Like 26, I want to say. And he's not young enough to build around. I mean, not young enough to rebuild around. Rebuild around. So let me rephrase that. Also at this point, it's like you've got another 2-3 years. I know you got one more year with him, but you have to sign him to a big contract. Then the goal should be to acquire players. But I mean, just with the way the league's trending, with how much power the star players have, does anyone want to go to Utah? I mean, no disrespect to any Jazz fans that are here, but I mean, who's the big star that's asking out? Is he going to be like, hey, I'd love to pair up with Laurie Markkinen in Utah? So that's
You know what? That's a great point. As much as the Raptors might struggle as a destination, hey man, at least we're not Utah.
That's true. That's true. All right, 11th pick, Chicago Bulls. This one's kind of weird too because I don't know what they're doing with DeMar DeRozan. Are they re-signing him? Zach LaVine, they want to trade him apparently. Lonzo Ball said he's going to play next year. Patrick Williams is a restricted free agent. Nikola Vucevic is like 34 years old. What the heck are they doing? And who are they drafting, JJ?
Personally speaking, I hope they blow it up. I swear to God, if that team runs it back with that same core, I will be just I'll be amazed. At this point, I think, look, I'm not convinced Levine survives in Chicago during the offseason. I think he's probably gone. I don't know if they bring DeRozan back, so why not give them a player for the wings? Give them Cody Williams.
Cody Williams. That's fair. I'm not a big Cody Williams guy. Only again, my big complaint with him is like he's 6'8", 6'9", and you're averaging 3 rebounds a game. That just tells me you're not aggressive enough. Like you need to. You're that tall. That's like a point guard averaging 1.5 assists. In like 25 minutes. So it's like you got to fit your size. But again, I get it. I get it. I mean, they got Kobe White there. They also got Aya DeSumo, so it doesn't make sense for them to draft a player like Rob Dillingham. But this will be very interesting because I believe it's my pick now, right? OKC,
Hmm.
OKC with the 12th pick. Now this is hard too because they have a bunch of guards, man. They have a bunch of guards, and they got obviously they got Shea there. They got Josh Giddey who they're gonna trade. They got Cason Wallace. Do they draft a point guard? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Can,
You know what?
can
Go
I
ahead. You're
toss
about to.
this? Can I
Yeah.
toss a suggestion at you?
Yeah.
Personally speaking, I think this is the ED spot.
No, I don't
I
know. See, the reason I gotta disagree with you, JJ, here is because they're a very fast-paced team. So Edie isn't the fastest player. So that's my only logic behind like the team that I don't think will draft him.
I
This
hear
is hard.
you, but at the same time, like they struggled tremendously on the glass. They were one of the worst rebounding teams in basketball. They also struggled tremendously with size. Like if you're talking just like 15 minutes a night of Zach Edey, like that's as good of a spot as any, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? I was tempted to go Tristan da Silva. I just don't think so because he's listed 6'9". He's listed as he's a power forward. They got him listed as small forward here. You know what? I'm gonna go Devin Carter here. I'm gonna go Devin Carter again. It's kind of hard to justify them drafting guards, so many guards, but I mean, right now it's just best talent available. I don't know what they're gonna do with Josh Giddey. He provides a good scoring option for them off the bench. Again, I don't know. I know you like Zach Giddey. I just don't see him going that high, but I don't know. I don't know how you
I
feel about that pick.
I like Edey for this specific team. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of him overall, but I think that would have been a decent fit for him. As far as the Sacramento Kings go, boy oh boy, they have some questions to answer this offseason with obviously Malik Monk's impending free agency. And just
Mhm.
overall, it feels like the Western Conference is kind of really passing them by right now.
It
And
is.
I think they could use help on the wings. This might be a little bit of a reach at this spot, but give them Tristan da Silva.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. Personally, I wouldn't have gone with that. The reason is, I don't know, man. I feel like, and now I can, of course, go back on the roster, but they have the Murray guy. I can't remember his first name. There's so many Murrays in the NBA.
Keegan Murray.
Keegan, thank you. I was about to say Chris Murray. I was like, no, that's his brother actually on Portland, I believe. But Keegan Murray, he's also playing power forward for them. So personally, I think Rob Dillingham would have been amazing also with their backup guard. I'm just blanking out right now. Davion Mitchell here. He I don't know what his future is going to be with the Kings. He's a defensive guard who's not shooting well and not doing much off the bench. So, but I get it. I get it. They need any sort of help and they need bench production as well. So, all right. So let's go with our 14th pick here with the Portland Trail Blazers yet once again. So who did they draft? They drafted Ron Holland here with the 7th pick. This is hard because I said they shouldn't draft a guard, and now there's a bunch of guards on here. Man, this is hard. This is really hard. Um, you know what? Mm, I'm tempted to pull the absolute biggest what the F on here.
Who are you thinking?
Mm,
Where's the reach going to?
you know what? I'm gonna do it. Might be a hot take here. Personally, I'm not a huge Yves Missy fan. I like him. I like his game. Gonna be a major reach. I'm taking him here. DeAndre Ayton, we don't know what his future is going to be with the Portland Trailblazers. Again, very hot take here. There's better players than Yves Missy. All right, guys, my apologies. With the previous draft, we had said it. I apparently had set it to the lottery only. That's why it ended. So we're going to continue on from there. So what is your reaction to me drafting Yves Missy for the Portland Trailblazers?
I think that's a little bit higher than I would have liked to see him go, but you know what? Your call at the end of the day on that one. All right.
Alrighty. So we got the 15th pick. We got the Miami Heat. Let me know if you want me to scroll down, look at certain positions. Who do you think the Miami Heat will draft here?
No, I'm good. This is the spot where I'm finally gonna end the slide of Rob Dillingham. Like he's going to Miami.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
Um,
he's definitely at this point by far the best player available, and there's naturally been some talks of him sliding, in particular. Like I think his size and his small size obviously can be a concern for a lot of teams, and it quite frankly wouldn't be too surprising to see him drop on draft night. But I would be significantly surprised if he drops like honestly, I could see him maybe tumbling a little bit further than this, but at this point, like with him still on the board, if you're Miami and you get that extra jolt of offense that Dillingham's going to bring, I think you take him. I think he's one of the more talented offensive players in the draft for sure, and I think he probably has a higher ceiling than a lot of other guys in this draft. I think the size concerns are going to keep teams wary of him, though.
yeah, I can't argue against that pick. Again, it's one of those things. It's just I was trying, and we were both kind of trying to see team needs and different guys. But I don't think there's no way. And at least I don't think Rob Dillingham will slide out of the lottery. But whichever team does get him, I think he's going to be one of the best scorers in this draft, man. It call me crazy, but we got the 76ers on here. This is a hard one, man. This is a hard one, but I think there's a player I really like here, Jared McCain. Great 3-point shooter. You could go with maybe one or two other guys there. Again, they just need to surround. They need someone that can shoot a lot of threes. They're probably going to lose Tobias Harris in the offseason. They might re-sign Buddy Hield, which might make this actually pick even more questionable. But I don't know. I really like Jared McCain. I think he can shoot threes. And Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey are going to be getting the ball quite a bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign Paul George, which is what apparently they're trying to do. But I think this is the pick for them, man. It's one of those things where it's like he's such a good 3-point shooter, man. That's what you need. When you're able to shoot the ball that well, a team like the 76ers will definitely take him. Now we've got the LA Lakers with the 17th pick. And again, let me know if you want to go different positions here. Who do you think they'll take here?
This is a bit of a tricky one because I think I have a few key names in mind here for the Lakers in terms of different directions they can go. But I think ultimately I'm gonna go with Isaiah Collier at this spot. Um, I know a lot has been made of his struggles at USC, and I know he tumbled in this draft, I guess, a little bit, or in just the overall like mock drafts, like he's slid a fair bit down. I still think he's got a buttload of potential. I think he just needs to, quite frankly, land in the right situation when it comes to the tutelage. Are the Lakers the right situation? Man, I'm not gonna lie to you, probably not. But I do think this is the like this team would absolutely take a shot on him, especially because they don't know what's going to happen with the future of D'Angelo Russell. So the guard spot definitely could use a little bit of a boost there.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. Again, with the names remaining, I don't know who they would have taken to be honest, but yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, Isaiah Collier, they need a point guard. They need some they could always use some more defense, I believe, at that side, especially with how Jamal just tortured them in the playoffs. And like, I'm not saying Isaiah is going to stop him, but it would be nice to have a defensive guard. So, all right. So I've got the 18th pick here. This one's a little bit challenging because, again, similarly to some of the other teams that have gone before, they have a lot of guards. I mean, I'm tempted to. I've looked at the roster, and you know what? I thought they could really use a power forward. Of course, I forgot that Paulo Banquero is a power forward. So this is a little bit of a tricky one. Again, might be a little bit of a reach. I'm going Johnny Furphy here with the Orlando Magic. My logic behind this pick is 6'9" guy who can shoot, though. He's a great shooter. And they need more shooting, man. They need more shooting. They need clearly a lot more offense, but they need a lot of shooters in and around Paolo Banchero as well in France as well. So that's my logic behind it. But yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that or you're going to move on to the Raptors here.
I mean, I think you made a decent selection in the spot. I might have gone Jacoby Walter there. I know there's still a little bit of work to be done with his shot, but I think overall Jacoby Walter would fit really well with the Magic, and particularly just sliding into the two guard spot that I think Gary Harris ultimately does leave empty this
Yeah.
offseason.
Yeah.
That being said, oh
Can
boy,
I say one thing? Can I say one thing? Please don't say Zach Edey, man. I don't know how many drafts I've gone through, and they're like, "Oh, the Raptors are going to draft Zach Edey. Bring the Canadian home." They're not drafting him because he's Canadian, guys. Seriously. And I hope that's not your pick here. I hope that's not your pick here.
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is obviously an unenviable position to be in, considering the majority of who's gonna watch your videos to select with the Raptors. And quite frankly, I don't think I'm gonna go Zach Edey. There's a couple of guys that intrigue me at this spot. There's one that I did a video very recently on that I'm a little tempted to take
Do it,
at
man.
this.
Do it. Do it.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, screw it. Khalil Ware, welcome to the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, that's my pick too. That's my pick, man. I saw that you posted him, and man, let me say, I would love if the Raptors drafted him. And I'm gonna let you talk about him a little bit more, but I'll tell you, I probably agree with every single reason why you drafted him.
Hey man, look, I think as far as natural talent goes, Khalil Ware absolutely hits so many of the right spots for you. He's a great inside scorer. He, in this last season at the very least, showed just enough ability to punish teams for leaving him open as well. Like he knocked down threes at a good percentage, albeit at a small volume. I think there's room for a lot of offensive upside with him overall. He's a decent enough rebounder. I talked about it in the video on my channel, but I do have question marks about his effort levels. Like that was a big talking point in Oregon. I don't think it's completely gone away. There's still stretches in the game where you will watch and Ware is just disconnected. Like he's giving poor effort, whether it be on screens or rebounds. That is my biggest concern when it comes to him. But overall, I think if you're looking at a backup big specifically, he's so damn talented with the right coaching staff, which I think the Raptors have when it comes to player development. Like, I think he can be a very good starter eventually, but again, he needs the right situation, and hopefully, in this case, Toronto could be that for him.
Yeah, and then also great rim protection as well, which the Raptors need at the backup position. And he gives the Raptors a different type of center. He's mobile, he's able to move fairly well, as opposed to not saying that Jakob doesn't, but he gives you a little bit of a different type of center you have at the backup position. Again, that 3-point ball is always intriguing. To have a center that can stretch the floor would be amazing. All right, to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, this one, hmm, who do we
Come
take
on,
here? Are they treating Darius Garland? Are they treating Donovan Mitchell? Like, what's
come
going
on,
on
man.
here?
There's no way we can keep disrespecting Jacoby Walter like this.
See, my only question here is I thought about Jacoby Walters. I've watched a lot of mock drafts and I saw a lot of them mocking him to the Orlando Magic, which is why I might have not mocked him there. But they got Max Strus there, who's 6'5". He's listed at 6'5" as well. They got Karis LeVert,
Come on.
who's listed at 6'6".
Come on, man.
It's an overlap.
Who the hell
It's
is Max Struz? Like, let's
no,
be
but
so
they
serious.
got a position filled there, right? Because they're already an
Yeah.
undersized team that's needs a little bit more size at the small forward position. I mean, they even got Isaac Okoro who's 6'5". So they got Evan Mobley obviously at the power forward. I don't know if they're gonna play him at the center. Jeez, this is hard, man. But uh, you know what? Call me crazy. Call me crazy, man. I'm gonna do it. Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, I think they look for a little bit more size here. Obviously, when you look at their lineup, they got Max Strus, they got Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. They do have size at the center and power forward position, but I just feel like they need a little bit more off of the bench. They need a little bit more defense as well. So again, my logic behind it, Tyler Smith, someone that can shoot threes. So you get someone that's I'm not gonna say a great rebounder, but he can do a little bit of a lot of things. So that's my logic behind it. Honestly, just he's got potential. He's still 19 years old. He's good. I don't think he's gonna ever be an all-star level player, but I like that pick for Cleveland.
I mean, I'm glad you didn't call him a great rebounder because I don't think he's a great
No,
rebounder at
he's
all.
not.
Quite
He's
frankly,
not.
I think that's one of his weaknesses considering his
Yeah,
size. He's an
absolutely.
interesting guy that he plays a little bit more like a wing for somebody that is listed kind of as a big.
Hmm.
Um, I like Smith a lot. I don't necessarily know if that's the fit for him personally. And also to any of the Max Strus stands out there, I definitely know who he is. But like, come on, I don't think that's a player that should be deterring anybody from making a certain selection.
But
Um,
it's also the 20th pick, so it's not like it's not like you're passing on the fifth overall pick or the 10th overall pick. But no, I get it. I get it.
all right. All this being said, I think we've let him sit on the board for long enough. I think Jacoby Walter is going to go to the Pelicans here. There's a lot of talk that the Pelicans are going to move on from Brandon Ingram this offseason and kind of potentially try to remodel their roster a little bit. So I think Walter falls favorably into that spot for him.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I like that. I like that for their team. Are you sure they don't have enough 6'5" guys, JJ? All right, so I get the Phoenix Suns here. This one's tricky because I don't know how I feel about Yusuf Nurkic. I don't like. I'm tempted to draft Zach Edey here. I mean, he sets good picks. He creates some room, and then, but okay, I'm gonna go here. Maybe a little bit of a hot take. I'm gonna go maybe not so much considering where the pick is. I'm gonna go Carrington. I feel like he's a good point guard. They do need a point guard after trying to deny it. Apparently, their owner said they don't need one because they got KD, they got Bradley Beal, but I'm gonna go with him. He could be a really nice point guard for them. He also provides size as well, which is nice.
Man,
I don't know.
man, their owner, don't even get me started.
Yeah,
Matty Sheba, I think his name is.
yeah,
That guy, there's rumors that they want to pursue LeBron James, and like,
yeah.
what the hell are we talking about here? Like, they're talking about LeBron coming there on a veteran's minimum, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, I
Has he
feel.
not learned that you can't just throw three, four all stars together? And it's just beyond my understanding what he's doing. But
I I feel so bad for James Jones sitting in that position and consistently
mm.
having that guy breathe, or like sitting in the general manager position and having that guy breathing over his neck because my God, that must be a horrible job to have.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I agree. Alrighty. So moving on to the Bucks here. Who are you going to select?
Scroll all the way back up and give them Keyshawn George.
That's fair. That's fair. I like that pick for them. I personally was leaning a little bit differently, but again, at this point of the draft, you kind of just have to hope one of these picks hit, right? I actually really like Keyshawn George. Again, provide size. He's listed as a shooting guard. He can pass a little bit as well. Again, I don't know how you feel about him. I like him. I personally wouldn't draft him earlier than where he's probably gone, but I can definitely see him going in the 20s.
Mm. All right,
Uh,
who do you got at this spot?
oh yeah, this is my pick. You know what? Someone's got a promise, and I can't believe he's all the way down here. Where did he go? Where is Deron Holmes? Is he not listed as a center? I guess power forward he must be because there we go.
Yeah,
I
there
can't
he
believe
is.
they've got him listed at the 45th position. That's first of all just absolutely insane. Apparently, Deron Holmes got a promise from a team. He canceled his remaining workouts. I'm going to go with the Knicks here. I don't know if they're bringing Precious back. Julius Randle's probably they're going to try and trade him this offseason. Like you look at the roster, they need a little bit more size besides the center position, like Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein. Like they already have a lot of guards. Jericho Sims, they're probably going to let go of. So again, I don't know how you feel. I'm going to go with Deron Holmes here, power forward that can shoot, that can do a lot of things, is very mobile. He honestly seems like a very Knicks type of player. So
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no guarantee that Hardenstein is going to be back at the Knicks by any means. I don't know if you've seen the rumors, but the
yeah,
Oklahoma City Thunder are ready to throw a bag at Hardenstein. So there's a good there's a good chance he's gone. So
yeah,
I can see the vision with the pick.
yeah. And then also they've got to re-sign OG and Anobi too. Apparently wants 35, $40 million. You know what? So I don't know how they're going to do it, but let's see.
All right. Did you
Oh,
click?
sorry. Yes, let's click on all the players because Kyle Filipowski is there's still Zach Edey. So you got the Knicks again. Who do you got here?
Oh man. Honestly, at this point, Let's address another, I guess, spot. Justin Edwards feels like a decent guy to go for the Knicks here.
Yeah, that's fair. I would have gone with someone different, but hey, I can't argue against that. You know what? Again, like I
Who
said, late in the draft, it is what it is.
who is your guy at that spot?
There's a few guys. You know what? Bobby Clintman, Baylor Sharman, or Ryan Dunn, small forward that can play defense really well. And I feel
That's
like
fair.
with the Knicks team, that's got a lot of shot creation, and Jalen Brunson's got the ball a lot in his hands. He's surrounded by great shooters in, OG Anunoby. Dante DiVincenzo played amazing as well. So, yeah, that's my logic behind some of those players. But we've got the Washington Wizards again here. God, this is like I'm trying to find a spot for Zach Edey with respect to Zach. I can't see him, man. All right, so
You don't think
hmm,
this is the ED spot?
nope. You know what? I think a little bit of a hot take. Not really. I think this player could possibly go even higher than this. I'm gonna go with the Frenchman, Pacome Daddier. I don't know if you've heard of him. Apparently, he could have a really high ceiling. And look, they already got a Frenchman on their team here, and where's his name? Bilal Koulibaly. So Pacome, again, late in this draft, it's not a bad pick. He's got some potential. He could have an insane ceiling. Apparently, he's a great scorer. So I'm gonna go with Pacome here. So for the Washington Wizards, shooting guard 6'9", he can score. He said he can score a lot better in the NBA because there'll be a lot more space. Apparently, that was what he said in an interview. So
Hey, Luka Doncic said scoring in the NBA is easier than in Europe, so I mean,
yeah,
there's definitely some credence to that.
absolutely. All right, now we got the what we got the Timberwolves. Are you sure this is not a Zach Edey spot there? Because they got Rudy Gobert. They need more slow centers, there. So, but
No, I don't think this is the spot. I think at this point, um, this one's a little tougher at this point.
it is.
I think you're hovering over the right guy there.
Kevin McCullough?
No, no, you had it
Tyler,
originally.
Tyler, Baylor,
But yeah.
Baylor Sharman. Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like that pick too. I actually think a team like the Celtics will treat him if he ever keeps falling in the first round. But yeah, Baylor Sharman. I just did a video on him. I really like this guy. Great scorer, great passer, great 3-point shooter, and you can't argue with that. All right, so I got the 28th pick in the NBA draft. Denver Nuggets, man. This is really hard.
Is
Mm,
it?
no, actually, it's not, and I'm not choosing Zach Edey here. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. They needed some defense, and obviously Anthony Edwards, is no one stopping him. He had a great playoffs, but I'm gonna go Ryan Dunn here.
Okay.
6'8" guy, can play defense. Again, can't shoot really all that well. Still 20 years old, so they need defense, man. They need defense. That's what I think. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., mind you, isn't a great defender either. So it's like you need a little bit of balance there. I mean, you can make the argument they definitely could use more offensively talented players or more 3-point shooters in general, but I don't know. That's my take here.
It's funny to me because I think if we had the roles switched, I had a lot of your picks that you were sitting with. I was sitting there thinking, yeah, this is probably the ED spot at this point, and you kept passing it. So, hey
I
man,
could see that. You know what? I was
not my
thinking that. I really was thinking that actually.
look. We are back here to the Jazz, I believe it is. And unfortunately, again, and every time it rolls back to me, I'm just like, man, I don't really feel like this is the ED spot because like they got Walker Kessler, right? So
Yeah,
I don't think that's really the biggest need for them. And then you already made the selection for them earlier.
I did. I chose Trajan Salon.
At this point, I don't think I hate Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah.
By any means. I think that's a decent enough pickup for them. And quite frankly, like I don't see them going with any of the bigs available at this point. So
No, that's a fair pick. That's a fair pick. All right, I'm gonna make a joke here, and I wouldn't be able to do this with any other race here. The Boston Celtics are gonna choose a guy with nice hair, white guy who can shoot 3-point shots. So who's that guy here? Seems like they always just draft these guys. It's like they drafted Peyton Pritchard many years ago. They have Sam Hauser. Look at this. They got Sweet Luke here. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but we got to find that 3-point shooter that's got nice hair. But no, you know what? Call me crazy. I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna do it. I think they need a bigger center, especially with how they may feel like with Joel Embiid being there. I'm gonna take Zach Edey here. I think with the team they have, They don't need Zach to be amazing. They just need Zach to be decent, and that's what. And I personally feel like they do a really good job with incorporate some of the role players that may not be good, but they make them look a lot better just because they have such a great team with Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White being there. So I'm gonna do it. You didn't think I'd take Zach Edey, but here we go. Boston Celtics are taking him.
I don't think that's the spot for him. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I think the Celtics with their 5-out attack and in particular like with how much they love to switch defensively, I think that's the last place that you'd want Zach Edey going. But hey,
Hey,
saved him from dropping to the second round at least.
right? And since this is a Raptors channel, let's do one more pick. So we don't have the players on the list here, but you got a player for the Raptors with the 31st pick because we completed the first round. Who are you going to end the video off here with? Do you have a player in mind, or do you want me to pull up another mock draft where you can see some of the names?
Dylan Jones was the guy that I liked at the spot.
Hey, that's fair. I haven't looked too much into him, but I mean, small forward. He's 6'5", 20 points
He's
a game, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. I'm sold. I'm
just
sold.
keep in mind, I think you might have the per 36 numbers there in front of you.
Oh,
If I'm not mistaken, I think if you click into it,
well, that's
actually,
just embarrassing now, isn't it?
I when I put on the table this guy, I saw a very good scorer and I saw somebody that could also play defense. So I think as far as the wing position goes, you could do a lot worse. He's a little bit of an older prospect, if I recall correctly, but I
Yeah.
think this is a good guy here personally for the Raptors. I think this is somebody that's an immediate contributor.
Yeah, no, those were the per game averages. I don't know if you see it. So 9.8 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 20 points per game. Wow, that's impressive. Just didn't shoot the 3-point ball well. But yeah, anyways, JJ, thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. A lot of questionable picks. I'm sure people will let us know in the comment section. Anything you want to say before we end the video off here?
Tip your bartenders. I don't know where you're watching this, but if you're watching this at a bar, tip your bartenders.
All right. Thank you so much, AJ, for doing this collab. If you guys disagree with our picks, that's completely fine. If you agree with it, let me know in the comment section below. I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on a lot of our picks. Let us know, guys. Thank you once again, JJ, for doing this. That will be it for today's video. So I'll leave his link in the comment section below. Make sure you check out his channel. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. That will be it. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.